And we're off. Hey, Bigg Bump, how you doing this morning?
Doing well. How are you, Hake?
I'm doing well as well. It's Friday, November 10th, pre-Veterans Day here in Los Angeles, 2023 AD, 9:02 almost. And what are we going to cover today, Bigg Bump? B-I-G-G-B-U-M-P.
Right on.
Co-hosting with Hake today.
Thank you. Talk about the death of merit in science. Again, another Hillary Clinton nasty comments and things like that. One thing that I want to talk about was slavery.
Nice.
So I'll leave it at that. It's a little something that I shout out to William.
Nice.
Yeah, and some little quirky things, that I've come across this past few days.
There's one story in particular that I'm really pumped about. And no, it's not the Drew Barrymore one, although that one's kind of fun.
That's cool.
You found a Drew Barrymore story that is interesting.
Forgot about that. Yeah.
About Bruce Willis's daughter.
Yeah.
But the black TikTok video of the white anti-white slurs, alphabetically organized. That gal must be part white. I'm excited about that one.
Yeah, that's going to be cool too.
Yeah.
I like that one.
So all that and your calls. Some of you guys already called in, and I have some super chats to read as well, guys. So anyway, everybody, let's get right on with the AJ Gallardo original theme song of the Hake Report, co-hosting with Bigg Bump. Nice. With the show.
It's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Good morning, guys. Yes, I scheduled my YouTube video for 11 a.m. today, not 9 a.m. I guess I was in church mode. I know I end at 11. I'm supposed to end at 11, not start at 11 Pacific time. 11 Central time, I guess. What a mess.
Oh, it's the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, la la la.
So, how you guys doing? I am fine. I got my out of print, Uniting the Races with Truth Instead of Dividing Them with Lies t-shirt from the J.C. Lee Peterson, now defunct Teespring store. But there is a version similar to this, a little bit more justified font, big font, that you can get hopefully from, maybe from, you can get different products along these lines from JLP's Society 6. So rebuildingtheman.com/stores. Morning, Bigg Bump.
Good morning.
You got your usual LA gear on?
Right on. Yeah, just a little
LA hoodie.
Rustic LA hoodie.
That's cool. Like Dodgers.
Yeah.
And then what are these colors on your hat? You got his cap on.
Yeah.
Signature cap.
Red, white, and blue. This is actually like a 4th of July edition.
Oh, right on.
It says LA USA on the side. But I wear it, Veterans Day.
True. Happy Veterans Day.
Happy Veterans Day. Memorial Day, I'll wear it. Things like that,
Right on.
Yeah, so just a little something different again.
Well, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you.
It's good to have you on.
Thank you. Nice being here.
Yeah. I have calls to get to, but and super chats to get to, but let's dive right in. I would like to open with this slavery thing, because we talk about slavery in the past.
Right.
So you sent me this one thing, NKAA, Notable Kentucky African Americans database from University of Kentucky.
University of Kentucky.
And it was an article called African American Slave Owners in Kentucky. I have screenshots of this article that you sent me. Tell us about this.
So first, let me say, shout out to William for bringing it up in one of your shows almost a month ago. He brought up a number, and I didn't realize what he said. But then I was like, oh, okay, let me check on this and see. He said that there were 4,000 slave owners, black or Negro slave owners in America. That was like, I guess, the highest that was recorded at the time.
Yeah.
And so I just, let me do my usual look up, research or whatnot.
Yeah.
And I came across specifically Kentucky, that African American slave owners in Kentucky, that at the University of Kentucky, a research was done, that he was correct. The study found 3,777 Negro slave owners in the United States. And this specifically was, this research was based on Kentucky counties. There's 29 counties in Kentucky. And there were, out of those 29 counties, there were 95 Negro slave owners.
Oh, wow.
At the time. Yeah. I calculated what was here.
Yeah.
And they have it documented that each slave owner's name at that time. And this was up until 1830. I guess they stopped counting. The federal census stopped counting Negro slaves, or I guess slave owners.
Yeah.
Period, at 1830. So everything after is like a guesstimation. I guess you can guess from 1830 to 40, but after 1840 there was like really no record of that those owners.
And they didn't take the demographics of the slave owners. They didn't say, oh, this is a black slave owner. They had to cross-reference the slave owner's name with the census names and get the demographics from that, whether they were actually black.
Right.
They didn't call them African American back then.
Right.
That's a newfangled thing pushed by Jexy Jackson, I learned from JLP.
Right, yeah.
Phoniness.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, I thought I saw 1840, a total of, a history of world societies in this article that you sent. A History of World Societies was a publication. They documented a total of 6,000 Negro slave owners in the United States.
Right. Okay.
But you're right, you said 3,700 according to that study from the research department.
Yeah.
And they do qualify. Maybe this is the discrepancy. The 1850 and 60 didn't identify slave owners by race. Okay.
Right.
But ownership, now here's a qualifier. Ownership may have meant the purchase of a spouse, such as like a black slave man gets freed and then buys his wife from the slave master. And then she's a slave, but she's his wife.
Right.
She's just basically purchased her freedom.
Right.
Or his children.
Child, yeah. Or family.
Or relatives who were not emancipated, freed. And then also, they also qualify ownership, also an investment. Purchased children and adults may or may not have been given the opportunity to work off their purchase price in exchange for their freedom. See, slaves back then could, in many cases, work for their freedom.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's so interesting. It's just you hear things over and over throughout the years, and you get the dumbed down version of it.
Right.
And then you get to some things like, I'll say statistically, or researching information, and it's the complete opposite. It's a total 180 of what you've been told.
Right.
You would think that there was only the one slave owner that started slavery. Once you get to that point, that whatever his name was, Johnson, I guess.
Anthony Johnson.
Johnson, and that's
the one that Hassan found.
Right. And like that's the only black slave owner or Negro slave owner that there ever was in America or the United States. But like I said, it's the complete opposite.
Right.
And people get worked up for no reason.
Right.
And people will use you for their benefit, but you're just being a pawn. And
True.
when you just don't know something simple as that, and it's nothing to cover up. It shouldn't be anything to cover up. Just, hey, this is the information.
Yep. That's how I was taught it when I was a kid. It was just matter of fact.
Right.
There were good and bad slave owners, and there were good and bad slaves, which is just common sense.
Right. Yeah.
And you can't make assumptions just based on somebody's position in life, whether they're a slave master.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's this guy who got in a fight because he looked like he was breaking into his own home. Henry Louis Gates Jr.
Oh, just recently, right? Like past 10 years or during the Obama
Yeah, during
time?
the Obama
Yeah,
administration.
right.
And the police officer, the white police officer, arrested him.
Right.
Because he was acting erratic. Because somebody called the police on him. It looked like he was trying to
Right.
break into his own home.
Right.
And he has this PBS, public broadcasting service or whatever,
Right.
show called Finding Your Roots or something like that.
Yeah.
And he goes into people's genealogy and finds whether they were their ancestors were slaves or slave owners.
Right.
And it's always, these people have an emotional reaction as though, oh, just because you were a slave, you had this horrible life and were mistreated. Not necessarily. Or just because you were a slave, your ancestor was a slave master, that's something to be ashamed of.
Right.
And it's not the case.
Right. Yeah, I see when they figure it out, they're either ecstatic or emotionally just disturbed because
Right. And it's always like these liberal celebrities
Always.
who find out this information
Always.
and they fall over themselves,
Yeah.
apologizing and being dramatic.
Right.
Drama is their life.
Yeah.
And there was something else that I wanted to mention. I forget. Oh, Dinesh D'Souza. He's made a couple of like historical documentaries, and of course he puts his analysis that people can agree with or disagree with. But he too, in like Hillary's, the documentary on Hillary's America, and her past, and about slavery. He too found that there were black slave owners,
Okay.
and they were known to treat their slaves more harshly than the white slave owners, according to like his research.
Right. And you know what? With that, and it takes me to reminds me of certain situations where, like, sometimes the black cop will do the same thing. Will treat the black.
Yeah, they don't
It's
have
not
that
just
guilt.
right.
They may have been mistreated worse by
Right.
their mother, maybe,
Right. Yeah.
or by their fellow black man, and so they have more of a hatred towards their fellow blacks.
Bitterness. Right. Yeah.
Or they just know what they can take, or they do unto others what was done unto them.
Exactly.
Because harsh isn't necessarily unjust.
Right.
They
yeah.
can sometimes be more unjust. I've noticed that many Jewish people have a harsher take on Jews than other races or other peoples
Got you.
do.
Yeah.
Because they know each other, and two, because they harbor a resentment toward family members or whatever, and so they have a beef. There's many blacks who are anti-black,
Yeah. Right.
who like. There's even black conservatives who hate blacks.
Hate blacks. Right. Yeah.
Whereas that's not the answer.
Right. At all. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all black liberals hate blacks.
True.
Yeah.
True indeed. True indeed. Yeah. So, my other point about the cop thing. Yeah, I was just going to say it's not just a TV thing. I think I was going to say that where some movies showed that aspect of black cops is what I was going to say.
Oh, true.
Yeah, about them being overly aggressive to blacks. But I think that was more of like the Roots phenomenon, where just to put it in your face that, hey, be angry at the cops.
Right.
You know, even though it happens, be angry at the cops all the time, no matter what.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, it's like the house Negro effect. Like the house slave was resented, allegedly,
Right.
by the field slave, and the blacks. It's a vicious circle because the blacks hate the black cop. Sometimes they see him as a traitor,
Right.
and so he's like either compensating or overreacting to that, and so like it's just vindictiveness building up in between, or viciousness building up between one another.
Right. and then they won't allow a person like Joel Friday to join the force.
I know.
You know,
A fair-minded
Right.
man
yeah,
who's like the kindest to the ladies and everybody, but he is too honest,
Yeah.
too independent thinking.
right.
Yeah, what a setup. The military and the police have just gotten rid of all the independent thinkers, as many as possible.
Right.
The whites, the men, the clear-thinking guys, the independent thinkers like Joel. What a shame.
Yeah, it is a shame. I agree with that.
Okay, let's move on into, before we get to calls, I want to cover at least 2 topics and then calls and then 2 more topics, let's say. The death of merit in science.
Yeah. Okay.
This was interesting.
Yeah, and I had no idea about this.
Me neither. And I kind of like this idea, to be honest, because I personally like looking into the people who are conducting these studies. So explain it. It's because people are lost if they don't know what we're talking about.
Let me find this on my end. Yeah, the death of merit in science. This was a out of the Washington Examiner from a lady named Debra. She's like a mixed Asian author, researcher, whatnot.
S-O-H, her last name.
S-O-H,
Debra
yeah.
So. No H in Debra.
And this was based off a science.com publication. And it's about whether scientists should include positionality statements when publishing their research. And positionality statements are like the race, your sexual orientation, like your identity. Is basically like a political identity, or the what's the word? The identity politics type deal, where you live, how you grew up, and that's where that positionality statement plays a part in what you were saying. Like you see where this almost where the science come from, because of the person is basing everything off of their viewpoint of life instead of the science thing,
Right.
And instead of just looking at the science. And that's how I saw it as. But I see where you're coming from. Is this, you like it, but it's just, I guess the political identity thing. That's where it plays, and it pushes certain narratives to, like the Chinese virus, to, HIV/AIDS and climate change, because they all have a political agenda.
Definitely.
And I know there are people in that realm and area that have those political agendas that would follow that positionality statement.
Yeah, it's an interesting word, positionality. So my position as a white male Christian upper middle class,
Right.
all of these things that they would identify me as, and partially Christian things that I partially identify myself. Science, one of the world's most prestigious scientific journals, reads this article by Debra So in Washington Examiner. Published an article last week querying whether scientists should include positionality statements when publishing research. The purpose of a positionality statement, quote unquote, is to offer details about the author's personal characteristics such as their race, sex, sexual disorientation, gender misidentity, and geographic location, among other things. The practice originated in the social sciences, which are not science, this socialism, communism, I think, with the goal of improving inclusivity and drawing attention to power imbalances, especially if a science isn't part of the so-called community that he or she is studying. And this gal, Debra So, says any precious free time that scientists have should be devoted first towards staying sane in such a fast-paced environment and to applying for additional funding so they may remain gainfully employed, because scientists don't produce value on their own. They have to get subsidized.
Right. Yeah.
And then their findings can be used to produce valuable practices, I guess, maybe, sometimes.
They do. I'll give them that.
Okay.
I'll give them that.
Yeah. Sometimes it's, you pay for what you see value in. And some people pay for stuff that's they wrongly imagine value in, and some people pay for stuff that actually is valuable. Like people pay for Hake, and sometimes Hake provides, nominal value. People buy Hake coffees. Appreciate it. You guys are my patrons. Interesting.
Yeah. Were you about to say something?
This gal continues.
Yeah,
When reading
okay.
scientists' positionality statements, I can't help but feel extremely uncomfortable as though I'm reading a hostage statement. Because some of these people aren't doing it voluntarily.
Right.
It comes as out of place, invasive to read detailed descriptions about a researcher's racial background, age, socioeconomic status, where they grew up, and other erroneous tidbits about their life while simultaneously knowing they likely had to declare this information to have their findings published or to graduate. Oh, because schools are pushing this stuff.
Yeah.
And schools are corrupted they're totally infiltrated
Yeah.
by the liberals. And these people need government funding sometimes, and the
Majority of
government's
time.
corrupted.
Yeah.
Yeah, the majority of the time, true.
Yeah.
The current ideological obsession with replacing objectivity and excellence with diversity, equity, and inclusion fanaticism will only derail future scientific achievement. I agree with that. It will deter anyone it'll deter anyone belonging to a so-called overrepresented groups, white, Asian men, from pursuing scientific endeavors regardless of how competent or passionate they are. They'll risk coming to believe the value of their work won't be based on merit, but rather the circumstances they were born into. This Debra Sogals is sex neuroscientist, by the way.
Yeah.
The Dr. Debra So podcast. End of Gender, debunking the myths about sex and identity in our society. Her name sounds familiar. I wonder if Jesse interviewed her before, or...
When I was reading up on her, what came across my mind is she did a Salon piece about I guess, what was it, like in a pedophile maybe?
Oh, yeah.
This was like back in 2015. I remember reading about, when I seen it, I was like, okay. And then it said something about her doing some Salon article. And I was like, oh, I think I know, because Salon always plays in my mind with that story. So she was
Salon
the one
is
that
a far left,
right.
but sort of interesting sometimes.
Right, sometimes it can be. And she was the one who did that article for that guy. I forgot what his name was, like Nickelodeon or Nickerson or something like that.
Okay.
That she said she wasn't portraying him as any type of way. And in a sense, she wasn't. It was almost a sense of something, how Jesse would say is, that's not who he is.
Right. Yeah.
He's caught up.
Yeah.
He's in his mind. Things like that. And a lot of people were.
This Nickerson guy was he like interested in the wrong way in children?
Yeah, yeah.
In the S word.
And allegedly he never
right?
done anything. But
yeah.
he was just, his mind was there.
Right.
And, which, yeah, of course it was.
Yep.
But he had, and that's what she was saying. He had never done anything. It was just, that was his interest.
Yeah. He was twisted.
Yeah,
in
very
his,
much so. Yeah. Oh,
attractions.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Man.
But yeah, so that's who she is. That's where I guess one of her most popular things was at the time. And I checked out her podcast, like just one show, maybe about 15 minutes of it. And I seen I guess she has a piece or a part in Matt Walsh's documentary,
What is a Woman?
What is a Woman, right, yeah. Because I seen her take a picture and they were talking about it. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I guess she's
one of the more reasonable,
right?
Maybe
yeah,
liberal still, but
yeah, for sure. Yeah, but still a little more reasonable when it comes to things like this.
Yeah. I mean, she told the truth about Asian and white men.
Yeah,
getting discriminated against,
right.
potentially, with this positionality mess.
And that's the thing, is the once again, hey, let's get rid of the whites, and let's get rid of the people with merit, period. And I said that with the Caltech situation when they were getting rid of the calculus classes.
Right.
And you could take them however you want to. It's the same thing. You're getting rid of certain things certain individuals don't fall into.
Yep.
Or you're making a position of, we're only going to go this route. and this is what you get, a meritless science. you know,
Yeah.
and that's what it's based off of, is the merit, for anything, any situation.
True.
Instead of just grabbing anyone off the street and now putting their spin on it, because that's, to me, that's another thing. They're putting a spin on it. Yeah, we know you're from such and such place, but now it's you're from South Central. Now we're going to put the spin that your 85 Cadillac that I have is is disturbing the climate somehow. Things
Yeah.
like, they just, any little thing like that's just a anomaly. But that's where it goes to. That
For sure.
now it's inclusivity with your sexual orientation or disorientation, as you said. That,
Yeah.
they have to put that in. It has to be in there somehow, and it's forced also.
I like it because I like seeing who's really behind this, because it kind of
It makes
tells you
sense now.
about where
Right.
this
Yeah.
study is coming from.
Right, yeah.
What the motivations might be, whether this person is really this clear objective thinker.
Yeah.
Because if you're in that world, your thinking is more slanted.
Mm-hmm.
You're more likely to be brainwashed in different ways, and your whole premise is going to be off.
Yeah.
Your whole
gonna be
hypothesis
skewed.
or whatever.
Yeah,
It's
it's going
gonna
to
be-
be some way, the way you want it to be.
Yeah. They'll ask a question that, of course, it's going to be this, but that doesn't lead you to the right conclusion.
Right.
They're not getting to the root.
Right. And that's the same with like these weaponized judges and
Oh, yeah.
AGs and things like that. You look into it. I look into it to try to find what's this person's angle.
Yeah.
At life and what. So I guess it's the same exact situation.
I try
Yeah.
to go early life check on some of
Right,
these judges.
exactly, yeah,
Not a
yeah.
Christian. And, of course, Kevin Howe points out Joe Biden is a quote-unquote Christian, and all these people are like all the rhinos, bunch of
Yeah.
Christians by and large.
Right.
But it also tells you just something about them.
sure
I
does.
like to know
Yeah.
what their life was like, because they're just dumb, silly human beings, idiots like all of us.
Yeah.
The FBI are not. Some of them are quite bright and clever,
Right.
but it doesn't make them gods.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what it's come to. It's, no merit whatsoever. I wrote down these experts. The experts are like, they're just eggheads.
Yeah.
They don't really have anything worth anything. It's all a slanted view.
You had an example of a woman who pushes this
Yeah.
positionality statement.
Yeah,
Is this a woman, right? Is it a
It's a
real woman?
woman.
Okay. I'm so traumatized.
As far as I can go back, it's a real woman.
Okay. Julie Martin. I have a picture of this gal in that Death of Merit folder, Hassan.
And I got her information from the science.com piece that Debra So wrote on. So
Okay.
she's in there. She's, I guess, a top engineering woman, whatever she was with. I had a note about it.
This is not a T person. This is not a trans person chat. We're pretty sure. It's so messed up that it's poisoned our minds that this, mildly attractive gal with nice hairdo, dressed like a lady,
Yeah.
pearl necklace, and dress, slightly corpulent, wearing, dressed up like a lady, and I look at it and I'm like, is this a transgender? It's so messed up. But anyway, who is this gal?
It's Julie Martin. She's the editor-in-chief of the Journal of Women and Minorities in Science and Engineering. And she's required positionality statement since it has July 2020. And she's, I think, from originally University of Georgia, one of those higher, of course, professors.
Yeah.
And yeah, so this is something I've never heard of, but it's been around for quite a while.
So positionality statements since July 2020. That was the summer of love.
That was it. The summer of love.
The summer of black burn, loot, murder, Black Lives Matter, Antifa, Black Lives Matter, insurrection on the country in the name of Georgia, Florida. This gal was a scientist, university gal, dumb liberal, Julie Martin. Show her picture one more time. This Julie Martin gal, editor-in-chief of the Journal of Women and Minorities in Science and Engineering. Oh, Lord. They've required positionality statements, which is SJW identity, misidentity statements, false identity, shallow identity, since July of 2020. So for over 3 years, we're in November 2023. This one
Oh, yeah.
fell for it. She looks like she would have fallen for it.
Definitely.
Mildly attractive, I guess. I don't think that's a normal. Is that her natural hair color? Shout out to the brunettes who bleach their hair or whatever you want to call it. That's interesting.
Yeah, it is. It is. It really is. And again, like you say, more than likely she's a liberal.
Yeah, that's kiss up culture right there.
And there was something else that I caught her on, but I can't open the article that I see now that I got the information from. But she's been around forever.
Okay.
I just can't pinpoint any background on her.
Okay.
So I really don't know much about her other than, the inclusivity, the diversity. That's what she's pushing.
Yeah. I mean, if you're editor-in-chief of the Journal of Women and Minorities in Science and Engineering, then you have an agenda other than
No doubt.
real stuff.
No doubt about it.
Spoiler alert, shares a quote, positionality statements are just the tip of the iceberg moving towards a reflexive process by Julie Martin. So she's saying, that's what she posted in, in 2022. That was her article, I guess?
Yes.
Interesting.
And volume 28 at that. So she puts out things maybe monthly, it seems like.
Okay. Journal of Women and Minorities in Science and Engineering.
And there's numerous amounts of articles in here. Just stop. Diverse, high-achieving young women in the pursuit of engineering, access, accumulation, and activation of capital. Those are just, just over and over. All these articles that are in this journal they sound exactly the same. Examining collegiate black males, STEM trajectories, the crucial role of their black fathers, which
True.
That's true, yeah.
I'm sure there's some true, factual, useful information.
Right, yeah.
Being put out even in this darkness.
Right, yeah. Exploring queerness and community among LGBTQ citizen science volunteers. Everything has to do, every single thing, race or sex or any identity, something that has to do with some type of identity. Identity politics all the way. SJW life, SJW science rather. And it doesn't produce anything.
True. Yeah.
Just like you say, it lets you know where that research is going and how skewed it is.
And the motivation.
Yeah.
Interesting, man.
Yeah.
Before we move on to Hillary, I want to get, and Owen Shroyer and these other things going on. Mm-hmm. I want to get to a call or two here. CJ in Texas is on the line here. CJ, thanks for calling. You're live with Bigg Bump and Hake. Appreciate you hanging on there.
Hey, what's up, Hake?
Hey.
What's up, Bigg Bump?
How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Nice.
Great show, guys.
Appreciate it.
I want to jump in on the integrity of science talk, right?
Yeah, you're a scientist yourself, of sorts.
No, I'm not.
Oh, engineer.
Yes.
Okay.
Somebody that respects science. I do not do.
Are you on speakerphone or Bluetooth? Come to regular phone if you can.
Yeah, hold on.
Karen Williams, do you want her Hake?
No.
No.
With it. What's up?
Okay, I think that's sounding better, CJ. Appreciate that. Go ahead.
Yeah. So it's a big thing with me. First of all, peer-reviewed science is. You asked me the other day if I was a gatekeeper. Right? Somebody asked that in the chat.
Yes.
Yes, that is peer-reviewed science. That is gatekeeping right there.
Indeed.
It is the small select group of people that get to decide what gets published or not. And there was that individual that wrote, I think it was 13 completely BS articles and got them all peer-reviewed, published.
Wow.
Like queer dog gender and parts and stuff and rape culture. He just started making up articles based upon gender theory, right? And he got 13 of them published in peer-reviewed journals. And he's like, all these articles are just crap. I just made them up. But they were politically charged at the right time that they got published.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Then again, the American Heart Association in this last year just published, contrary to 40 years of what we've been telling you, upon the review of 5 meta-studies, there is zero evidence linking eating saturated fat to atherosclerosis, coronary heart disease, or any heart disease at all.
So saturated fat is not the poison heart disease causing thing that we were told that it was necessarily?
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
Okay, but it's not. It's not what we were told.
Admittedly, zero evidence for it being so.
Right.
Right. So then I go and I talk to my doctor, and my doctor is like, "Yeah, but you still probably don't want to eat fats." I'm like, "Why?" And he's like, I was like, "Do you understand what zero evidence means? Zero. It's not a little bit.
Right.
Zero. You're just brainwashed from what you've been told in science, right? But how could the American Heart Association have got it so wrong?
That's
right?
Yeah.
Because these people call themselves scientists, right? They do correlation studies, right?
Yeah.
They ask people what they've ate. And I'm not joking, Hake. It's like this.
What they've eaten. Yes.
How much ground beef did you eat in the last 3 years?
How am I supposed to know? 2-3 times a week. Oh no, once a week, like a burger or two.
Oh yeah. Okay, so you ate a lot of meat. So this probably caused your heart disease. We didn't ask you how much bread did you eat,
right.
How many French fries did you eat, how many fried potatoes did you eat. Those things just weren't even in the question. And then
my water, my activity level.
Hey, what did you eat for lunch 4 days ago?
I don't remember. Probably. Let's see.
But how much beef did you eat for the last 3 years?
Right. Fair.
Right. So to make a cause and effect statement in science, you need to perform a controlled randomized study on things. Otherwise, if you're not doing a controlled randomized study, you are not proving a cause and effect situation. You are just making a correlative situation, an association statement, right? Like, we sell more ice creams cones when people get sunburns. So the sales of ice cream cones must be causing the sunburns. It's like, no, man, it's just a hot day causing both of it. That's the cause and effect, right? But the correlation between the two, doesn't mean causation.
Right.
Right? Like everybody knows that correlation doesn't mean causation.
Yeah.
what they do is it's pretty much impossible and non-ethical to perform long-term nutritional studies on human beings because you would have to lock identical pairs of twins in separate laboratories for their entire lifetime and perform experiments on them, which no one's had the balls to do since the Nazis.
Guts. Yes. Sorry, kids.
So it's not even like legal to perform cause and effect situations. Like the whole reason why they even started saying that cigarettes caused cancer was the correlation between smoking cigarettes and getting lung cancer. I don't want to be wrong, right? I don't want to give out misinformation, but it's either 1,100% or 11,000%.
So a lot higher
correlation.
Yeah. A lot
right? Like
higher.
when they're doing these nutritional studies on, low density lipid proteins and stuff and blah, blah, blah. All right. They're like, it's like a 10%.
10% as opposed to like 1,100 or 11,000%. So it's just nominal.
Now I'm going to tell you about the real fraud that they use in science.
Okay.
Relative risk and absolute risk. Do you know what those differences are? If I say that if you eat this thing, your risk of getting cancer will increase by 5%, right? It's pretty scary, right?
Yes, 5% increase in cancer risk.
Okay.
All
now,
right.
let's say we both had a 1% risk of getting cancer.
Okay.
And your relative risk increases by 5%.
Does that mean 1.05?
Yes, it does.
Oh! Wow.
Right, but in the articles, if you read the vegan news or whatever, and I mean, granted, I am a carnivore, right? So, you know, like they will never tell you if it's absolute or relative risk inside of the article. They'll just say it increases your risk. Well, relative risk is almost like nothing, right?
Yeah. That's interesting, man.
I also wanted to touch on this whole disclosing where you come from and stuff.
Yes, please.
Not that controversial, right? Like, so another huge fraud in the science industry is that studies only happen if they get funded.
Right.
Right? So who is going to fund a study that says, if you just stop eating plants and eat only meat, you won't need any medicines for the rest of your life?
Vegetarian.
Who's going to pay for that?
Not
any pharmaceutical agency or anything, right? So
not Monsanto.
You have to understand that studies get paid by the interest, right?
True.
And so, like, let's say Kellogg and CNH Sugar fund 1,000 studies to try to show that sugar is safe and eating fat is evil, right?
Yeah.
And they get one study that shows it. Here's what they do. They don't publish 999 studies, and the scientists are all under non-disclosure agreements to not talk about it, and they don't publish those at all, and then they take their one study out of 1,000 and say, look here, we have this study, right? It's called it's very well known in the industry that people shelve studies that don't give them the results that they want. And only the person paying for the study will keep performing study after study, and then they will only publish the studies that are favorable to their product being sold. And it is absolute abuse, right?
Yeah.
But then inside of that study, you're supposed to disclose your conflicts of interest, right? Like, hey, we performed the study, but these are all the hundreds and hundreds of companies and agencies that we take money from.
Wow.
Right? Well, why wouldn't you also have to say, like,
by the way, I'm a transgender.
I'm also a member of the LGBT community.
Right.
I'm also black. I grew up in this community, and I belong to this organization and this. I mean,
that's why I like it.
Right.
To me, it's just a furtherance. Yes, me too. Of disclosing conflicts of interest.
Yeah.
Right.
That's called transparency.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so everybody knows where all of the motivations coming from. Anyway, I don't want to take up all your time, man.
Nice.
I also
point.
don't want to click on you.
Okay. Thank you, CJ in Texas. Appreciate that, man. Take care.
You'll click.
All right. That was interesting.
Yeah.
You know, CJ gave me a super chat, and I feel like I ought to read that now. It's Ego is Real, bought a coffee. I'm assuming this is CJ. The past few days' calls demonstrate that belief and deeply held convictions are powerful. Past few days, I've been covering flat Earth.
Right. Yeah.
And the N-word a little bit, too. People are not consistently logical or rational, and they are a mix of skeptic and champion. Some get riled up because thousands of years of precise measurements, mathematics, and scientific rigor don't easily fit into a short conversation. Still others have a point that we shouldn't blindly accept consensus. Pontius Pilate asked, "What is truth?" He asked that of Jesus. Politicizing of weather and health hasn't helped. Who knew that scientists would say whatever their grant money wants them to say, which he touched on in the call. However, without some trust that scientific methods work toward accurately describing creation created by God, everyone would have to reinvent everything for themselves, which is impractical. Things we directly observe can lead to the wrong conclusions. What color was the dress 8 years ago? Do you have some ideas why people believe what they believe? He asks. That's an interesting question. Yeah, the dress 8 years ago may have changed color. People misremember. Why do people believe what they believe? Do I have some ideas? I definitely have some ideas. Like, well, I know from myself and observing people calling into my show that people believe stuff partly because they get an idea in their head and it seems to, is it jive or jibe with reality?
I say jive.
Jive with it seems to mesh with reality, work with reality, what they're observing. Like, oh, Bigg Bump's got a heathered gray athletic sweatshirt on today. He must like white. But I mean, I'm observing something, and therefore he must be this. It's kind of like I asked a question that may have been somewhat challenging to a flat earther this week.
Right.
And he's like, "Do you work for the government?
Right.
You sound like you work for the government." It tells me that people suspect things that aren't true from their imagination.
Right.
And it works. Maybe a government person would say this.
Right.
And it sounds so, with dating, people will, a girl will tell you, "Oh, it's all coming together." Like she'll build up this whole belief system of what the reality is of your life because Satan is feeding her all this information slash rationalizing to rationalize what she believes to be true.
Some facts.
And it has very loose basis in reality, and it's absolutely not the truth. So I think that happens with people a lot. Like, people will speculate, oh, such and such got the call. And it's fun to joke about that. Oh, Fed.
Right.
It's fun to joke about that, but don't believe something that you don't know.
Yeah. and that, there you go. Everyone is perceiving what they have on the inside of them. They're just saying what they believe. That's it. It's not anything true on the outside. It's just whatever idea it is, whatever thought it is, whatever inclination you have, that's not what's going on. That's just something you're being fed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not ever what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never.
That's why I believe there's truth to this climate change stuff. And I believe that there's truth to like this evolution stuff maybe. But it's not as the masses think.
Right.
It's not even as the scientists think. Unless the scientist is saying, here's what I know, there's a whole lot that I don't know. But if they're living in reality like that, leaving an I don't know,
Right.
a big I don't know.
Yeah.
And people will say, well, James, you're being naive. Like, I don't know if Trump slept with Stormy Daniels, that dirty video woman.
Right.
Stephanie Clifford's. I don't know. And I just say I don't know, and
Yeah.
people are think, oh, you're being naive. Of course he did. But you don't know.
You don't know at all. You don't know.
And you shouldn't, why should you even care?
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, that's just something that, to take you somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wild. I like his username in this coffee. Ego is real.
Ego is real.
Because that's the I that's prideful, jumping to conclusions, wanting to think that you know something that others don't know or
Yeah.
won't acknowledge,
Right. Yeah.
judging the other person, not looking at yourself. I think there's a whole lot of that goes on. And
Yeah.
we're all Christians. We should be united as much as possible.
I did, and there was something I said one day to you. I sent to you.
Yeah.
I just put when I said the ball or flat Earth keeps me honest and lets me know that it's okay not to know. I don't have a clue.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't. It's interesting, but
Yeah.
I don't even really care about it.
True.
There
Me
probably
either.
was a time I did or would have cared about it, but I can care less. I don't know,
Right.
and I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's like
Perfectly fine.
Gregatron talking about
That's it, yeah.
the flat earthers and the black Hebrew Israelites.
There you
the
go.
same spirit.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's not just the flat earthers who have that spirit. The ball-tards,
yeah.
like I noticed the pull to get sucked into an argument with them about something that doesn't matter anyway.
Right.
And one of the callers recited some Bible verses about hidden things. God
Yeah.
hid the truth.
Right. What?
But how do you know that he was talking about the flat earth versus the ball earth? What about like the hidden reality of come back to the present? We're supposed to just be united.
Right.
Knowledge is always going to be imperfect, but love is perfect. So we're imperfect in knowledge until I don't know when.
Right.
But we can be perfect in love.
Yeah.
And
That's what it calls for.
it covers sins.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but I have a BitChute person commented on my show saying, James, I used to really support you and love your show. I donated to you. No more, because you're sounding like a shill. You don't believe in the flat earth stuff. You sound like you know something, but you're covering it up. That they're in their imagination.
Yeah. All
And
in
these
their
are
head.
fellow Christians.
Right.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
Much of
Yeah.
the time.
All in their head. And
Yeah.
Every time.
Just something to fight about.
Right. Yeah. Just something to fight
Something
about.
that you can feel special, like you know,
Yeah.
like you're being awake.
Yeah.
But it's not. You're falling into darkness.
Yeah. That's too much stress and worry anyway. to
Yeah.
do something like that. Let alone just living.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just being still and living. I was gonna say, you said about, oh, that's just something different. That was a tangent about the black Israelites.
Oh, okay.
I seen them
Go
fighting.
for it.
I just seen them fighting the pro-Palestinian
Yeah.
one day. I was like,
Why can't they just unite and hate the Jews together? I guess hatred is not a unifier.
no.
I mean, you can unite
You can use it, but-
for some practical evil that you can do. Because the Democrats are pretty good at uniting to push evil.
Yeah, that's their game plan.
Yeah.
That's just the way they work.
But they don't truly, have love.
None.
It's not true unity. Before we get to this Hillary stuff, more super chats, I'm sure, and calls. You guys are free to call in. Let's get to some music. Let's take a music break. This is from Bigg Bump, B-I-G-G,
Nice.
B-U-M-P. He's Bigg_Bump, B-I-G-G_Bump on Twitter, X, and on Instagram as well, Bigg_Bump. And Bigg Bump, all one word, on YouTube. This track is F.E.A.R, Fear.
Face everything and rise.
Nice. So enjoy your musical Philistines. Either no Fog Friday or no Frog Eyes Friday or no Fob Friday nor Frog Eyes Friday. We're having Bigg Bump. It's a Veterans Day observed. Enjoy Fear, Face Everything and Rise by Bigg Bump. And we'll be right back for hour 2. Hang tight.
Nice.
How easy it is for the few to control the many. Because the many, we laugh at sheep, because sheep just follow the one in front. Ah, stupid sheep. We humans have out-sheep the sheep, because at least the sheep need a sheepdog to keep them in line.
You see the writing on the walls, try to focus. Just cause the odds are against you, you're not hopeless. Over time, wounds heals the prognosis. Open your mind up, that's the diagnosis. Separate the truth from the bogus. All the destruction in the world is atrocious. They wag the dog hoping we don't notice. Divide and conquer hopes to control us. We're all under attack, whether you're white or black, yellow or brown, it's time to stand your ground. Pound for pound, the system can't hold us down. You see these two middle fingers, how I'm feeling now. Can you blame me? Locked up like a caged beast, domesticate and tame me. You want a slave that ain't me? Break the shackles, just wanna be free. You want a slave, but that ain't me.
What if we all rise up, if we all stand up, if we say we've had enough? It's time we all call bluff. At 1% there's more of us, revolution on the cusp. What if we all rise up? What if we all stand up? What if we say we've had enough? This revolution on the cusp.
There's a warmth for your mind, and the tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time. Tyranny and blackface is sublime, and every time you open up your mouth, it's a lie. A marionette for the global bankers, and even Jesus Christ with the money changes. So they ask me, what's with all the anger? And I reply, can't you see they want to enslave us? Time to fight the powers that be, and time to rise up, unite and take to the streets. Putting fluoride in the water to make us sheep, and GMOs in our food to make us obsolete. One nation under constant medication, constant surveillance, constant vaccination. Predatory mind, scientific equations put a stop to this global domination.
What if we all rise up, if we all stand up, if we say we've had enough? It's time we all call bluff. At 1% there's more of us, revolution on the cusp. What if we all rise up? What if we all stand up? What if we say we've had enough? This revolution on the cusp.
And those that cry to appease are hanged by those they try to please. Bow to your master and fall to your knees. I'll fight to the death, make the streets bleed. Domesticate me like a caged beast. You want a slave, but that ain't me. No ball and chains, I just wanna be free. You want a slave, but that ain't me.
Humans keep each other in line, and they do it by ridiculing or condemning anyone who commits the crime, because that's what it's become, of being different.
F.E.A.R. Face Everything and Rise by Bigg Bump. Rap and God just don't fit for me. So used to gangsta rap, says 7154. Recorded on iPhone in a closet, says Chris. Is that a fact?
Not that one. No,
Okay.
that was in the studio.
The iPhone one was the Uniting the Races with Truth, Find a Way song. I know we can find a way. What's the name of that track?
Stand Up remix.
Stand Up. Yeah, the Stand Up remix. Yeah, it is Bigg Bump. BIGGBUMP. You can find that track on his YouTube channel, as well as he's also on SoundCloud.
SoundCloud rapper.
Nice. Let's get to Hillary before we get to any more of the super chats, because we got to plow through this stuff. Bigg Bump gave a lot to cover. What's Hillary saying? I have a clip, actually, of this. Hopefully I don't get censored for it.
Again,
Copyright.
being miserable as ever. She's a miserable lady, a miserable female. And every time she speaks, every time I see her speak, every time I see her post on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, it's miserable. Something. She'll retweet her baby picture or younger picture when she, as for birthday, as being, I was supposed to be the first woman, whatever, this thing, president or whatnot. But in it, Hillary says that President Trump 2024 would be an end to our country as we know it. And can you just play it?
Yeah. I have the View tweeted this, and let me just go ahead and play the video. It's clip 52, I believe. 2 minutes and 14 seconds. Listen to Hillary on with the cackling hens on The View. The View tweeted this out on X. Here it is.
The View, right.
What, in your view, would happen if he were to be reelected?
Oh, I can't even think that, because I think it would be the end of our country as we know it. And I don't say that lightly. You know, I hated losing, and I especially hated losing to him because I had seen so many warning signals during the campaign. But I immediately said, look, we have to give him a chance. We've got to support, you know, the president we have. And I meant it. And I tried really hard. And then literally from his inauguration on, it was nothing but, you know, accusing people of things, making up facts, denying the size of the crowd at his own inauguration. And everything that I worried about, I saw unfolding. And so I think that he'd be even worse now because he was somewhat restrained, believe it or not, in the first term by people who he hired because he thought they would go along with him, and they stood up to him. And so now he is going to, if he were ever near the Oval Office again, find people who have no principles, no conscience, who are totally tied, you know, to his fortunes, literally, and therefore would do whatever he said. And so the wreckage is almost unimaginable. You know, when I was Secretary of State, I used to talk about one and done. And what I meant by that is that people would get legitimately elected, and then they would try to do away with elections and do away with opposition and do away with a free press. And you could see it in countries where, well, Hitler was duly elected. That's right. Right? And so all of a sudden, somebody with those tendencies, those dictatorial, authoritarian tendencies, would be like, oh, okay, we're going to shut this down. We're going to throw these people in jail. And they didn't usually telegraph that. Trump is telling us what he intends to do.
We need to listen to
Take him at his word. The man means to throw people in jail who disagree with him, shut down legitimate press outlets, do what he can to literally undermine the rule of law and our country's values.
He will use the military to stop protesters.
Yes, you're supposed to use the military to stop rioters. That's interesting.
Man.
Do away with opposition, the free press. Throw people in jail who disagree. Shut down the free press. Social media is the free press. Talk about being what you are accusing others of wanting to do. That's Hillary. That's the liberals. That's the government.
Yeah.
That is these cackling hens on The View. They have the dictatorial mama spirit, shut you down. Evil.
Everything they say that someone else is doing, that's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
She was trained by a communist, right? Wasn't she trained by a communist? I saw in, speaking of Dinesh D'Souza, my favorite American historian.
I don't know specifically. I'm pretty sure, but I don't know. I can't recall. And maybe if you say a name, I'll be like, oh, yeah, maybe. That's what it is. Yeah.
Let's see.
Because I don't know if I've seen
Rules for Radicals guy. Saul Alinsky.
Saul Alinsky. Okay, there you go. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, she was trained by Saul Alinsky.
Yeah.
Who was also like an Obama type of person.
Oh, yeah.
I think.
Yes, he was.
That's wild.
Yeah, they're all Weather Underground, Bill Ayers, all those same bubble. Same bubble, all the same commies. They run like birds of a feather.
Yeah.
Fly together for sure.
And then they dress up in suits.
She has a Mao suit on.
She has a what suit on?
Chairman Mao
suit on. Oh, yeah, true.
That's her favorite.
She's all like bundled up. Kind of like, you know who else started to dress like that toward the later years? X-Files gal, Scully. She started to dress more like covering up
I never watched this, so I don't know.
Okay. Oh, yeah, because it was a white show.
Back then, maybe that's why.
Well, I mean, it was just, you probably weren't just not interested in sci-fi
that was like
mess.
That 96, 95, 96.
Yeah.
In that time frame, I wouldn't watch anything like that. Maybe The Simpsons, and that was it.
Right.
But yeah, anyway. Yeah,
that's funny. But she had that same sort of stocky, pudgy, bundled up look and kind of getting older.
Okay.
And kind of put together still, barely. Because Hillary in her younger years was, mildly attractive.
Way more decent looking than that.
Yeah. And now she's just looking haggard.
Yeah.
And acting haggard and just bad attitude. Like you said, sore loser.
Yeah.
Man, she must be miserable. I mean, look at how Bill Clinton used to be kind of fat and pudgy, and now he's just a skeletal, sucked dry old man.
Yeah.
Looking like death.
Death sucked. I mean, life sucked right out of him.
Yeah. She used to be the thin one. Now she's the fat one.
Uh-huh.
But,
yeah, she's, I had realized, like, she's living in the past.
Yeah.
She can't get over that losing, which she shouldn't have been in that political position anyway.
Yeah.
She wouldn't have to worry her little head about it, right? Yeah.
Right. I'm reviewing what she said with captions on the Twitter thing. It would be the end of our country as we know it.
Right. Yeah.
Our country's already ended as we, the boomers, I identify with the boomers, know it. You know what I mean? Like, you just covered how we don't have, it's not merit-based anymore. She brought up accusing people of things, making up facts. She made up the Russian collusion thing out of nowhere. Well, she didn't.
Well, she helped
with
push
the
it
help
along,
of her the
steel.
The steel, and she brought up how 17 intelligence agencies.
Right.
Said that he had Russians helping his campaign, and probably there on some level they were, right? That's lying with facts.
Right.
It's using facts. I almost wore my facts are not truth.
Right.
I thought that that's what this was for a second when I pulled it out of my drawer this morning. These people are the ones who make up facts. Like, voter ID is racist. That's said as a fact, or that's in their imagination. It's and yes, it would suppress the black vote disproportionately if it's going to suppress any vote. It would suppress the black vote disproportionately because I guess they for some reason don't have IDs as much. And so therefore it's racist because of the results make it racist.
Right.
Not the motive, the results. The motive is integrity of the elections for voter ID, right? Obviously.
Right.
And of course we want to suppress the idiots from voting, right? We don't want useful idiots who are brainwashed to believe insane things to be the ones voting and making decisions about the direction of the country.
Right.
What else did she say? Oh, she brought up lying about the crowd size. Like that matters.
Right.
You bring up a lie that matters.
She's determined to find something and to keep pushing the narrative on and on. Who cares?
Talk about eggheads that bring up stuff that doesn't matter. That's kind of like when he said 2 Corinthians. The egghead fake Christian said, oh, I know he's not a real Christian because a real Christian would say 2 Corinthians.
Right. Yeah.
Whole lot of normal, simple Christians say 2 Corinthians.
Yeah.
It's
right.
It's not something to look down on him for because his point was unity. Where there is liberty, there is unity. He said Liberty University, and we should be united.
Right.
He made a great, deep point about Christians should be united. Unite. But they missed it because they were hung up on 2 Corinthians. Talk about who's shallow now.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
That's what they, penny pinch and I'm going to take this and run with it.
Yeah.
Distract from the point he's making.
Right.
They don't know what point he's making, but they're stuck on one little aspect of something that was said.
It's kind of like earlier on the Jesse Lee Peterson show, Jesse made the point that they make the illegal women or immigrant women who are here legally drop anchor babies here in America, and they're supposedly citizens, so that they can come and can become citizens or stay here or have an excuse to get back here or whatever. That is the broader truth is that that's the motivation.
Right.
Self-interest, ego, and better life for my kids, fakeness. But the nitpickers will say, well, actually, Jesse, they're not citizens.
Right.
And it's tough to become a citizen. Like, and then you have to jump all through this rigmarole. But the reality is, they're getting special treatment.
Right.
Their children do get the
citizenship.
and the illegal children get all kinds of special treatment too. So effectively, Jesse's right, even though he's factually wrong. Big picture, forest, he's right.
Right.
Trees, he's wrong.
Yeah.
But they can't see the forest for the trees.
Right. Right. Yeah. And that's always the case too. It seems like that's literally the case for every situation. And the actually crowd,
right?
They'll nitpick on everything.
The Reddit bros.
But like I say, the big picture is something that people overlook, and that's the simplicity. Is the big picture.
Yep.
In a sense, that's just the sky view, the 35,000 foot view is the simple.
Yeah.
The simple.
And that's
answer.
what Trump brought. He brought the simple truth.
Yeah.
And they could. And he would say unfactual things, or you could call it a lie, or you could call it inaccurate or imprecise, but it was true.
Yeah.
Crazy. Before we get, okay, I want to get to Owen Shroyer and these other stories, two stories, but I got to get to Ronnie in Cincinnati, Ohio. He wants to comment on this 2 Corinthians thing. Ronnie, thanks for calling. You're live with Bigg Bump, 2 G's, and Hake.
Bigg Bump, Hake, how y'all doing on this Friday?
Doing well.
Well.
Yes, sir. So I heard you talking earlier, and you were saying, like, even if Trump has sex with Stormy Daniels, you shouldn't really care about that because it has nothing to do with presidency, I guess. But if he's going to claim that the Bible is his favorite book, he's got to know that it's not pronounced 2 Corinthians.
Wait, why?
What do you mean, why? That's like mispronouncing Genesis, or it's not calling it Psalms, but calling it Psalms or something.
But there are many.
If the Bible is your favorite book, you got to know that there's a difference between. It's not 2 Corinthians. It's the same thing in the Old Testament. You got 1st and 2nd Kings, Chronicles. Like all of those, if he had ever read any part of the Bible and it was truly his favorite book, he wouldn't mispronounce that. So you got to at least.
But wait, the Bible, if he only read it and didn't listen to some preacher or academic or fellow Christians call it's 2 Corinthians, not 2 Corinthians. If he'd read it by himself, which I don't believe that he did, I don't know, I don't care, but let's say there are many people who read things and they mispronounce it all the time, but they read it and they know the subject matter, but they mispronounce this word because they've only ever read it. So isn't that a good point that he could have read it and it still could be his favorite book, but he could still be unschooled on whether it's actually 2 Corinthians?
I'm gonna give you an A for effort in trying to defend the indefensible. There's no way we're giving him credit for that. and even people that if he go ahead.
One, he reads the New York Times. He doesn't read books. I bet you.
Then he shouldn't claim the Bible is his favorite book.
But if he doesn't read books, couldn't the Bible be his favorite book? He just doesn't read them. Books.
No, because he reads Mein Kampf, and he's known to have a copy of it regularly, and he reads his books. So if he's going to claim that the Bible is his favorite, either he's lying about it or he's telling the truth, and he just has never stepped foot in church ever in his life.
Can you
he's never been to a wedding where somebody has read from 1 Corinthians, which is probably one of the biggest. It might be the main one that gets quoted at weddings. He's been to his fair share of weddings.
1 Corinthians 13.
I'm sure he's heard 1 Corinthians. He didn't hear him say 1 Corinthians, because if he heard him say 1 Corinthians, he would have been asking questions. Who says 1 Corinthians in his plural?
Okay.
So he should, and if he was 6 years old, I would get it. But dude is in his 70s. Come on now.
Oh, okay. Bigg Bump reacted when you said about Mein Kampf and he's read his own books and stuff. Go ahead, Bigg Bump. Respond.
Why does it matter if he has Mein Kampf?
It doesn't. I think that I only brought that up because James was talking about him reading the New York Times and not reading books. And then if the Bible is the only book he's read, then maybe it's his favorite. So I gave him examples.
Can you call a book your favorite?
Books that I know that Trump has read because he spoke on them.
Can you call a book your favorite and still not read it much compared with other books?
So now he's Jay Gatsby.
I'm just saying.
That he's never
is it
read
possible?
Before.
Is it possible to have a favorite book that you have maybe read once or maybe read portions of it?
Is it possible to have a book that you haven't read?
Like one of my favorite bands is 90 Pound Wuss, but I haven't listened to them in like a year.
Songs are different than books.
Right.
If he had read excerpts, if it was poetry, I don't think you need to read a poet's books from front to back. If you like a few of their poems, you could call them your favorite poet. Right. We're not talking about that. We're talking about books.
let's get back to Bigg Bump.
Was his favorite.
I interrupted your discussion with Bigg Bump. Let's go.
But I wasn't hating on Trump for having a copy of Mein Kampf. It's a popular book.
Oh,
it's a groundbreaking book. I'm not hating on him for having it.
Okay. All right. So let me ask you, where in the Bible does it says specifically 2 Corinthians or 1 Corinthians?
It says it when you read through the Old Testament before you get to the New Testament in Corinthians.
Does it use the term actual second?
Say that again?
Does it use the actual term second?
So this is an argument that people have where they say that Jesus isn't the correct pronunciation of his name.
No, that's not the same.
Let me finish.
But that's not the same. What I'm asking.
Let me finish real quick.
But that's not the same.
It's very hard to have a conversation when people are being interrupted.
I know, but I'm asking you. I'm just asking you a question.
The Bible doesn't specifically say that it says second. What's your point?
That's the point. So why would someone specifically know that it says that it is 2 Corinthians?
Common sense, common knowledge, if he had been to any wedding in his life or if he had ever stepped foot in any church.
But you don't have to set foot in a church for the Bible to be your favorite book.
Not at all. I'm not connecting those dots. I'm talking about him knowing that it's 2 Corinthians or 1 Corinthians.
Only by hearing somebody else say it would he know it.
Or 2 John and not 2 John and 3 John.
But why
1 Kings.
Why does it matter though?
But it reads 2 Corinthians and 1 Corinthians.
Because it goes to his credibility. If he's going to pay a porn star to have sex with her when he's married, that says something about his character.
But there's no proof of that.
If he's going to claim that the Bible is his favorite book, and the only reason he even pulled that scripture out of 2 Corinthians is because it had the word liberty in it, and he was at Liberty College or Liberty University.
That's the only
reason he read that verse.
But was it not a deep point about unity and uniting the Christians? Wasn't that a deep, true point?
It was a true point.
Yeah.
And I wish he had united the country a little bit better than he did.
I think he did a fine job, honestly, as far as uniting the country.
You think so? I feel like he not only did he already came into a country that was already divided, but now the Republican Party itself is divided.
But that's fine. I'm glad that the Republican Party is divided because the Republican Party is evil by and large.
So then what did he unite? What group of people did he bring closer together?
The Christians, the people who are really, who saw him as a truth teller, the truth teller that he is by and large.
Truth teller.
Yeah.
Now the conversation has come full circle. How can this dude be a truth teller if he paid a porn star not to tell anybody that he paid her to have sex while he was married, and he says that the Bible is his favorite book, but he can't give you his favorite verse because he didn't know that it was 2 Corinthians.
Because the truth is, you don't know anything. You don't know, or nor should you care about the porn star situation. You don't know the truth about that. You don't know that that's. You don't know that that's the truth. You're just making. You're repeating.
We do know that that's the truth.
No, you don't.
Yes, we do. It was litigated. If it didn't go through the process, if the procedure had never gone through, I would be right there with you saying we don't know, but we know.
He paying somebody off isn't proof that he slept with her.
Keep going.
Okay, and truth teller. We're not going to agree that you don't actually know. You weren't there. You don't actually know. You're just making an assumption.
not-
You're making what
not
you
gonna-
consider to be a reasonable assumption, but it's not actually hard truth, established hard
But
truth.
it is.
No, it's not.
So I'm one of those people that says let's wait until the facts come out, and the facts came out.
But the facts did not come out.
And
All
then-
the facts
and
did
then-
not come out.
And then
And you didn't even.
the fact-
Why do you even care about that?
because you tried to give former President Trump credit for being a truth teller.
Yes,
I'm
he
like,
is.
Dude, he lied about Stormy Daniels, and he lied.
No, he
telling
didn't lie
everybody
about
that
her.
The Bible was it, and he.
You don't
even
know
if
that he
didn't,
lied about her.
definitely, and I'm saying, even if he didn't, we know that he lied about the Bible being his favorite book because he didn't even know that it was sacred.
Why can't you give him credit for promoting the Bible?
He didn't quote any scriptures when he was asked what his favorite scriptures were. He went and read a verse that has the word liberty in it at Liberty University.
Right.
And as the president, you got the mic, you got a big microphone, you got a platform that others don't have. So I can't give him credit for reading the scripture.
But I said, why can't you give him credit for promoting the Bible?
All he did was read a scripture.
No, he
To me, a better
when he
promotion-
said
a
when he
better-
called
a better pro-
when he
a
called the
better
Bible his
promotion of
favorite
the Bible
book.
would have been a
What-
better promotion of the Bible would have been for him to implement and convey and portray some actual verses and some actual truths
So
that
he-
are in the Bible,
but
not
he
just
pro-
reading a scripture at a campus.
But when he said the Bible is his favorite book, was that not promoting the Bible? Whether it was enough for you, promoting it enough for you, wasn't it promoting it?
I guess so.
See?
By definition of the word.
Yeah. And then when I say truth teller, tell him some truth that Trump told. Bigg Bump.
That
I put him on the spot.
right. I'm trying to think of something that outside of
Ooh.
I'll just say something that's people don't like, that a truth. He wanted a wall to go up, and it was not put up not because of him not paying for it, or not paying for it, but him not addressing the situation and having funds put to that. But outside of his administration, there were other people that didn't want that to happen. That's a truth. A truth is, I'll go with Stormy Daniels. She went against the non-disclosure, speaking about what happened. If it's a non-disclosure, she's the one that will put everything on her to be, why aren't you questioning her situation? Because she spoke out about it, and she was supposed to not speak out about anything.
Mm-hmm.
He told the truth
Please
about.
don't tell me those are the only two examples you got.
No,
Please
there's
tell me
no,
you got
there's
more.
more.
By
That's
and
the
large,
spot.
he told the truth about the people coming in from through Mexico. And he stood by that truth, despite being boycotted by huge companies that were in bed with him.
Let me say one thing. It just came to me because I'm thinking of the regulation type thing. He wanted to cut the regulations, and he cut the regulations.
Yeah.
Cut daily, there was something being cut.
With the Charlottesville situation, the Charlottesville riot, there was violence on many sides, and he was the only one to tell the truth, and he caught a lot of flack for that. He told the truth about a whole lot of things. In his inauguration speech, he said, the government has become the enemy of the people. Maybe not in so many words, but he told big, true things, and you're hung up on what I consider to be petty things, Ronnie, in Cincinnati.
So what I heard was he told the truth about a wall or needing a wall. Then he told the truth about Stormy Daniels. We need to blame her for breaking the NDA. Mm-hmm. And then the last point you made was Charlottesville?
Yeah.
Okay, so my original question was, what did he do to you? What groups of people did he unite? I don't think he united anybody by saying we need to build a wall. He really shouldn't unite his voting base, because if he promised a wall that Mexico was going to pay for, and you're saying that it wasn't built, then you're telling us that he failed to fulfill that promise, regardless of if it was his fault or other people's. As the president of the United States, you got a lot of power, so it's very hard as a president to say,
you also.
I promised the people I would do this, but I couldn't do it because of that person.
He did most of it. He built he built like 500 miles, built/rebuilt 500 close to 500 miles of wall. So He kept
Then why,
his end of the
why
deal.
is illegal immigration at the southern border still a big problem?
Because it wasn't completed. The wall was stopped by Biden, and two,
So we
they're
built a
letting
lot of
them.
it.
The federal government wants them coming in. Like they're cutting the barbed wire. They're preventing the Texans from defending their border. They had buoys on the the Rio Grande. You're acting. Trump
that could have
Trump
been
did
solved.
unite people with the wall situation, man. What are you talking about?
No, he didn't. You
Yes,
just
he
told
did.
me that you said he built the wall, but then you said he didn't finish it.
Right.
But if he did a decent job of building some of it or most of it, then I feel like illegal immigration shouldn't be a problem.
Ronnie.
No, it's a
big
huge
part of
huge
that is
border.
people-
Now you're just
I know
pleading
it
from
is.
ignorance.
I know it is.
You're speaking from ignorance.
What should happen is this. Governors of Republican states should have been sent their National Guards down to Texas and Arizona and defended the border and said, we're not going to wait on the president. This is a state of emergency, and we're going to go help our southern friends. They should have been done that, but they haven't because they don't really care about doing things.
Right.
They
You
just
have
wanna
the
talk about it.
you have the whole establishment on both sides against the country, and you have one man Trump for the
Nobody's
country.
done it. Regardless
I know.
of
That's-
who we're blaming it,
that's what I said.
nobody's stopping. Even here in Ohio, nobody's stopping Mike DeWine from sending Ohio National Guard down to help defend the Texas southern border.
But then you're getting away
there's
from.
nothing there.
You're not criticizing Trump. You're criticizing the establishment, which is
I've
which is
already
all
criticized Trump though, because I said he didn't unite the party.
Yes, he
didn't unite them
united
behind
a whole lot
anything
of.
that they could get done.
He won the presidency. What do you mean he didn't unite the party?
He didn't unite the party. He won the presidency.
He united people around what's right. The part I just told you most of the party's evil. I told you he united the people who saw that he told the truth.
I'm talking about what voters did he unite? Because I don't see a strong group of voters that are actually going out here and pushing legislation that's getting passed and making things safer.
Voters don't
see
pass
that.
legislation.
Voters don't pass legislation. What are you talking about?
That's the Congress that passes legislation, man.
It's not. I'm in the state of Ohio. Voters just put up an amendment so that abortion is still available, and they just passed another amendment legalizing weed.
Those are amendments.
Don't tell me
That's
that
not
people
legislation.
don't pass. What do you mean people don't pass legislation, James? What are you talking about?
I'm talking about Congress. You're talking about legislation to deal with the border. You're acting like we should
deal with the border.
You're a mess. You got way high of standards for Trump, and you don't even know what you're talking about.
My only standards for Trump is to tell the truth,
and which he did.
And he can't even be honest with me about what his favorite book is.
Oh, you see, you're petty, like Hillary Clinton.
That's not petty.
If
you lie about small stuff, you'll lie about big stuff.
You have no idea whether
his liars work.
You don't even know his heart. How do you know what his favorite book is?
I don't need to know his heart, but I know that his favorite book, he can't even pronounce the chapters in it.
But that doesn't make it not his favorite book.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't. It does not.
Let me ask you, Ronnie, why is that such a big deal to you?
I know.
Truth telling.
No.
Tell the truth.
I'm saying, why is that
Just tell
such a
the
big
truth.
deal to say two or second?
Because he's not telling the truth.
No,
It
you're
would be
making
like
an
this.
assumption.
It would be. Listen, it would be like me saying that I love to read Harry Potter and then I mispronounce Hogwarts. or
Of course.
Slytherin.
No, but what if you only read it by yourself and you didn't watch the movies or hear anybody else say it?
Again, that would be so when we're talking
Wouldn't-
about Trump
wouldn't
and
the
not
people-
pronouncing
wouldn't the
Corinth-
fellow- wouldn't the
when we
fellow
talk
Harry
about
Potter
Trump and him
fans-
mispronouncing Corinthians, that would make sense.
No,
and
I
it would be
gotta talk
possible.
over you and shut you down, Ronnie, because we've
My
gone
bad,
on
wait.
too long. But let me make this point. Let's say Harry Potter. Wouldn't the Harry Potter fans? You're a Christian, right?
Yeah.
As a Christian, wouldn't you appreciate Trump saying the Bible is his favorite book?
We already went through this, and I said yes.
Then
I'm glad he
then
didn't say it was
you're
a-
like a woman. You're shallow.
No, I said I'm glad he didn't pick a different book that's worshiping demons. I'm glad he didn't do that. But when the guy
Leave it
asked
at that,
him,
Ronnie.
You know,
I gotta
mentioned
go,
the
man.
Bible is your favorite book. You got a favorite verse? He ain't even had that. Just tell the truth.
he doesn't
if you wanna
have
be
to.
President. That's all I ask. All I ask is you be a truth teller.
Which he was, but you don't see it.
Amen.
All right, thanks, man. Take care.
Have a good weekend.
You too, man. What a mess. Oh, man. Okay, John in Kentucky. He's on the line. Kentucky, John, you're live with Bigg Bump and Hake.
Man, that last guy just kicked y'all's butt, man.
In your shallow mind of, I'm not surprised you think so.
Kicked y'all's butt.
Yeah.
In
what way?
Y'all are diehard Trump supporters. So y'all gonna argue this man to the death. He was just making a point that Trump lied, and then your last statement is like, well, who cares? It's just a 2 or a second. He's just making a point that Trump lies. So why not say you're right?
He didn't even successfully cite any lie from Trump.
That was a lie.
What lie?
The Bible is his favorite book.
How do you know that?
All right, man. So my lie that Trump told was that he's not.
So you don't know that. You're not going to answer how you know that.
How do I know what? About
That the Bible is
2 or
not
the 2nd?
Trump's favorite book.
That's common sense, man.
That's not common sense. That's not an answer.
I'm not going to defend. I'm not a Trump fan, so I'm not going to defend him on everything. You got to defend him on every single thing.
Not true.
People bring up about him.
Not true.
But listen, he was
So let it be known.
known.
Let the record show that neither John nor Ronnie could prove
be
that the
quiet.
Bible is not Trump's favorite book. Go ahead.
And be quiet. He was close friends with Jeffrey Epstein. He said he wasn't. That's a lie.
How do you know how close he was with Jeffrey Epstein? How do you know he was close with him?
Anybody who gets invited to Pedo Island or Pedo Island, however you say it.
That's not what it was
gotta be
named?
close with the man. What was it called?
Epstein Island. And Epstein
but they
didn't have
nicknamed it what?
the bad name that it does now.
What did they nickname it?
They nicknamed it what you said, I guess. But
Why?
because allegedly they had reportedly, I guess they had underage gals over there.
There you go. And Trump was there with them underage girls.
How
There
do you know?
go. That's a lie.
How do you know?
Because, man, look, you funny with that. How
So
do you know? How do you
can
know?
I ask you something, John? Hey, what
They have a
about
list.
the? What about
Who is
the?
This is Bigg Bump. You're live with Bigg Bump.
Oh, Bigg Bump.
Yeah.
Okay, what's up, Bigg Bump?
What about the FBI agent that said if they had something on him with the Epstein situation, they would have went after him. He was the only.
Good point.
He
Good
was
point. Good point.
He was the only person. Oh, I'm not finished.
Go ahead.
He was the
Go ahead.
only high-profile person to go to the FBI and say, "Hey, this guy is doing some weird stuff, and I'm bringing
Trump
it to you
did
guys."
that?
Yeah,
How do you know that?
I'm
like Hake now.
The gentleman
How do you
said
know?
it. The FBI agent said it. There's I seen the.
I just got to take your word for it, huh?
You don't have to. I can't recall. You don't have to. You can look.
You can
and
look
find
into it for yourself
That's just
if you're
something that I
Well, you know, it's a bunch of high-profile people that's on that list that was supposed to be coming out, or did it come out? It's like all those actors and celebrities.
Did
and
you
people
say
like
that he banned Epstein from Mar-a-Lago?
Yes, that's for sure. Yeah, that he did.
That was reported. I mean, I'd heard that. I don't have a
After he
news
was
source
dead?
for you. I don't have a source, bro, for you, but I've heard that as well.
After he was dead, or like while he was living and not
No, I just
You banned
told
him
you.
after he was dead. No, man. You banned him before he was even.
I gotta ask. He's trying to clean up his mess.
No, I just gave you an example of what the FBI agent said.
What's the FBI agent's name?
I have to look for it. If you want me, why would I know every
I'm just
little
doing
aspect?
like Hake, man.
But that's
I'm
not.
just telling you.
You're not quite doing
I
it
got
like
you.
Hake because he's giving something that's either factual or not factual. But you guys
I'll
didn't
look
give
it up,
anything
man.
that was a factual, logical. That would lead me to logically conclude that Trump's favorite book is not actually the Bible.
That other guy, he's quicker than I am. Okay, so
No,
he got y'all
go ahead.
today.
Go ahead. Make your points.
For me?
Yeah.
No, I was just saying the last guy, Ronnie, he's quicker than I am. He called in and he made the point very clear, and I wasn't being biased about it. And
I understand you don't
he
think
made
you
the
were.
Point that Trump lied. So
Yeah. Those are shallow
mean,
things to nitpick.
it's easy to see, man. How do you
Big
feel
picture.
always trying to support Trump, man? How do you feel always taking up for him?
I have a clean conscience about it because Trump told the truth, big picture, and he was a man of truth and love.
Man,
I have things I disagree with him about. He's some people disagree with him about Israel. I'm okay with it, I guess. but he kept us out of wars. He worked hard on the border. He tried to go after Hillary, but his White House counsel prevented him from doing that. And he told the truth about the situation with the tearing down of the monuments and all that stuff. He was a unifier and a truth teller. He woke up a lot of people who used to be atheists, including the American Anchor Baby, used to be atheists, and American Anchor Baby saw the insane hatred towards Trump and realized that evil is real. And by the way, ego is real is not evil is real. I misstated that. And from that, he realized that American Anchor Baby used to be an atheist. Then he realized God must be real, and he became a Christian.
Hey, listen.
Many blacks and Hispanics realized that Trump was a truth teller. Go ahead.
You know Trump is never, ever, ever going to be president again, right? So what are y'all going to do? Are y'all going to keep on, like, are y'all going to keep on just kind of like being Trump fanatics? And
how do you, how are you, who are you to say what the future holds or doesn't hold about Trump being a president or not? How do you know he's not going to be a president?
Because nobody wants him to be the president. He's in too much trouble, man. He's just, if he runs, he's going to lose.
Wait, you say nobody wants him to be president, but he's dominating the Republican field. So there's a lot of people who want him president.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean, I mean, he was dominating last time, and he let Biden beat him. So, I mean, what's going on there?
That doesn't mean that that's what's going to happen again. It may, but But it doesn't mean it will.
I'm a psychic. I'll bet you.
No, you're a black Hebrew Israelite. Don't call yourself psychic. That's not Christian.
Why do you always say black Hebrew Israelite?
Because that's what we know it as. But you're a Hebrew Israelite.
It's not black. Yeah. Israelite, man. And Bigg Bump is too. Bigg Bump, you are too, man.
Nah, I don't know about that.
Yes, you are, dude.
I don't know about all that.
You're going to find out soon enough. Hey, I'm going to let y'all go, man. I don't want to slow y'all up.
Appreciate it, John in Kentucky. Take care. Kentucky John. That's the real one, not the banned fake one who was Hamza pretending to be. Manuel is in California. I know we want to get to these other stories, but Manuel in California, go ahead.
If you want to get to your stories, go ahead.
No. I'm going to you.
All I was going to say is if these people, all you got to do is look at the stock market.
Turn them up.
If you look at the stock market, when George Bush was in office, Barack Obama was in office, and then Trump was in office, Trump is the only person that has doubled the market, 16,000 to 32,000. Even if you count all the dips, he blew everyone out of the water. Barack Obama didn't even bring it up more than $8,000.
Wow.
And recently brought it up 2 to 4. If you look at the numbers, it's simple. If I was a business person and this man doubled my profits for my business, why would I vote for anyone else?
There was a billionaire who was Sri Lankan or India. I thought he was from India, but I think he was a Sri Lankan billionaire in California who started to run for governor.
Yeah.
I butchered his name, but he said the same thing that you did, that Trump brought a lot of truth and sense and good business practices and good practices for, the border situation, the wall, and we didn't like the messenger, so we killed the message, but the message was right. And so you're so right about that, man.
Just like taxes. If you tax people, they have less money, so they'll have less to spend.
Yep.
If you tax them less, they'll spend more money because how people are. Everyone's greedy. They all get money in their pocket. They want to burn it. The more they have, the more they're going to spend. It's common sense, but these people, they want, $5 a gallon gas.
The government,
so much.
The government thinks that they can spend their money more responsibly than the people. Yeah, right. And the people, especially businessmen and responsible people, those are the people who are taxed the most, by the way, by and large.
Right.
Even if they're liberals. Yeah. And it's inefficient, too, because it takes money to even get the money from the people.
Right.
What a mess.
Which is like the IRS. People don't understand, if they want to hire 80,000 more people, say they make $100,000. So that company needs $800,000 from the taxpayers to fund their scam.
Yep. What a racket.
No one knows how to spend your money better than you. There's no way Hank would let me some random dude in California spend his money for him.
Yeah.
That'd be ridiculous.
That's so true,
Anyway.
man. Great point.
I'll let you guys get back to it so I don't cut off your stories too much.
Thank you, Manuel. Appreciate you. Take care.
All right.
Bye. William in California. Let's just plow through these calls and then get to the stories. William in California, go. You're live with Bigg Bump and Hake.
Sometimes. Good morning. How you doing?
Doing
Bigg
well.
Bump, how you doing?
I'm well. Good morning.
I'm going to point something out to you. I'm not a churchgoer every day. No way. But I have found out that some of the most godly people in the world don't go to church or read the Bible.
Yeah.
So I think
True.
everybody's being a little judgmental
Yeah.
about a mute argument. How did you like your $2.50? Was that $2.50 a gallon? How did you like that?
That was pretty nice. It was
you like
nicer
that?
even when it was 25 cents or 10 cents. But yes, you're right.
Well, Trump had great gas prices, and you can't doubt it. You cannot even deny it.
Yeah.
So who he slept with, I don't care.
Right.
Because this was done when he wasn't even in office, and his wife didn't say anything.
Right. She's still with him.
So his
He's
player
being
is
classy,
on point.
and he's being classy, not repeating the grab him by the whatever and all that stuff. And all these vulgar people are trying to say he's the vulgar one when they're the ones repeating the vulgar stuff that he allegedly
correct.
did in his past.
And as for the wall, it would have been finished if he'd have won the election.
Yeah.
So we're talking about lies and quoting the Bible. I'll tell you what's the biggest lie in the world. Hebrew Israelites talking about occupying Israel.
That's not the
How about
biggest
that
lie.
lie?
Come on, that's not the biggest. I think the biggest
That's not
lie is
gonna
anger.
happen. I'm not never attack. That's just ain't gonna happen, and I think that's a lie. It ain't gonna happen. So, I think some of the most godly people don't even read the Bible. I think somebody said that on Jesse's show. Can you be a Christian without reading the Bible?
Yeah. Even the
the
Bible
mic.
says that. The Bible
Drop the
says
mic.
those who never even heard the law have the law, keep the law in their hearts.
And as far as the country being divided, I know this for a fact. Until Barack Hussein Obama, Barry, until he came, we wasn't even talking about race.
Yeah.
So the country was divided when he came in office.
It was the division was there, but it became even worse because he exacerbated it and tempted people.
Anytime you address the nation and say African Americans have been working more than they ever have since slavery, that's dropping the mic.
Yeah. Nice, man. Appreciate it. William in California.
Enjoy your weekend.
You as well.
Oh, God bless the veterans, even
Indeed.
the ones that
Nice.
hate America. God bless you guys, and thank you guys for all your service.
Yeah. Nice one. Take care.
Take care. All right.
Bye. Okay, let's get in. Oh, super chats. Quick super chats. Evil is still real on Rumble says, ego is real, is a full-blown chat tard, and is not me, moron. Don't say moron, kids. I stand corrected. Evil is still real. Come to think of it, that ego is real coffee was a little too kind-hearted in its voice, if you will, to be evil is still real. Hey, do you think we should teach our kids that men and women in school, that men can be women in school and vice versa? No. Same thing with normal IQ ball earthers. You must fight against it before R-word tardation becomes normal. E-tardation, Ray. Nice. Any response to that Bigg Bump there?
No.
All right. Carver bought a coffee. Hey, Hake and Bigg Bump. Didn't Nick tell CJ not to call in on a speakerphone? I don't know if it was Nick, but it might have been somebody. Sean, maybe. It is a mistake a first-time caller could make, but never the infallible CJ. After making such an egregious blunder, how much stock can we really put in anything that he says? Pretty funny, man. Matthew on YouTube bought a coffee. Groovy talk today, Hake. I really jibe with the show. You know what? That's funny. The Hispanics pronounce a pe grande as ve, and a ve chica as be. Did you know that?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, super chatters. I appreciate it. Let's get into Owen Shroyer, because before we get back to calls. What's going on with our one of our freedom fighters?
Yeah.
The political persecution of Owen Shroyer. I don't have a clip of this, but I have the tweet that he that somebody posted on his behalf.
Yeah. That's his. Now, before he went in, he made this his official Twitter.
Okay.
It's Owen Shroyer, 1776.
Owen Shroyer, 1776. Before he went into the slammer for 60 days, is it?
60 days. Yeah.
Is he going to serve that full term, do you think?
Yes.
Wow.
It seems that way, unless Matt Gaetz can kind of step in and make some things happen, because Owen Shroyer is being persecuted and, messed around with it, from what I hear these tweets and individuals from InfoWars say.
Owen Shroyer, for those who don't know, is of Infowars.com. He's a host over there under Alex Jones.
Right.
And he and Alex have both interviewed Jesse Lee Peterson. Jesse has interviewed both of those guys, I think.
Right.
Owen Shroyer, War Room with Owen Shroyer is the show that hosts Jesse on a monthly basis. And he was at January 6th. And he was protesting, saying 1776, 1776, 1776 at the crowd outside the Capitol building. Did he breach the barriers? I know he didn't go inside the Capitol. Did he breach the barriers? Okay, so there were some guys who broke down the barriers. Ill-advised. Don't be breaking down barriers, people. But did he cross those barriers?
I don't even think he crossed the barriers. I think he got to the point of the barriers.
Okay.
Didn't cross the barriers. I think they were standing more on either platforms or cars. It had to be platforms. I don't think they were standing on cars.
Okay.
On platforms.
The InfoWars hosts.
Yeah. And with bullhorns.
My competitor.
Right.
Alex Jones.
And bullhorning, saying, but they previously said, do not breach,
Right.
They were saying it was a setup. They already felt that it was a setup.
Wow.
But
they were still there.
They were still there.
Just to be good examples.
Yeah.
And
almost like
speak
referees.
up for the country.
Yeah. And, like you said, he was saying 1776.
Which is the year of the independence, Declaration of Independence of America.
Right.
Yeah.
And
we want independence from the evil government.
Right. Always.
Yeah.
And that's where he... Pretty much, that's why they're after him, is because he wasn't involved. I think like maybe 6 months prior, he went into the Capitol.
Oh yeah,
but he
spoke out of turn. He
didn't
shouted.
Speak.
Oh okay.
He had
the tape over his mouth.
Yeah,
okay,
and because he had
he'd been censored.
Yeah, he censored himself, and prior to that was the Nader. Or what's the penguin-looking dude, the congressman, or what is he?
Oh, yeah.
One.
Yeah, fat.
Yeah.
Fat.
Jerry Nadler?
Yeah, Jerry Nadler.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, Fat Jerry.
Yeah. Before that
New York congressman.
Yeah. That was an outburst. He had the outburst there, which they just escorted him out.
Right.
And then when he noticed that there were kids able to do whatever, pledge allegiance or whatever, sing and other like Antifa-like or pro-abortion, whatever it was that they were in the Capitol doing.
Disrupting a hearing.
Demonstrations, stuff like that.
Disrupting a congressional proceeding.
Yeah.
Which is a crime.
That he said, okay, I'm going to do this. And no speech at all, just a speech of paper. He used paper to say, I think, free speech or something. I forgot exactly what it said.
Yeah.
But he used tape over his mouth. And I think that probably was more, that played into what's going on with the January 6th of him being there, speaking out again.
What do they accused him of? Because he's jailed over the January 6th thing. He didn't. Yeah. He repeatedly said 1776, which you could be construed as revolution, violent revolution.
That's what they're using it as.
But nobody became excessively violent.
Right.
Some people became excessively violent. A couple people moshed with the police. Mm-hmm. One guy swung a.
Those people are questionable also.
Right. I mean, some of them were just rough around the edges Trump supporters.
Yeah, of course.
There's this Hispanic Trump supporter who maced a guy and caused him to have a heart attack, I guess, or something.
Right.
Allegedly. I mean, the people were, there's like rough around the Proud.
Yeah.
A lot of Proud Boys are ex-convicts who love the country, but they're just too violent sometimes.
And then you get the Proud Boys that weren't even in D.C.
Right.
That did.
So he's
years.
thrown in jail basically over political persecution.
For sure. That's exactly.
And then
why.
he tweeted some video out, and so they put him into solitary confinement. Or somebody else tweeted something for him.
So initially, I remember, October 24th is when he went in. They immediately put him in solitary confinement based on COVID regulations.
Okay.
So he was there for the first week, I think. When he got out of there, he did an interview, which he's interviewed, people on his show as well as Alex that will call in and, interview while the show was going on.
Yeah.
He did the same thing, and they put him back in what is it?
Solitary
confinement.
Well, she called it something else, but yeah.
Yeah, they put him right back. Yeah, they used something else to
cover up
Bureau
what it really
of Prisons lady. Yeah,
and solitary is considered sometimes cruel and unusual punishment by some.
Yeah.
Because it's sort of like an extra harsh punishment. Sometimes it's for their own protection.
Yeah.
But is this
It's
in D.C. where he is?
He's in Kansas.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken.
Better than
Somewhere in
D.C.
the area. Yeah. But
I'll say.
there's been like every one of these guys are, from the reports, are being treated disgusting.
Yeah.
And they want to speak up about it. They seem to be in good spirits when you hear them speak. Which is cool. But
many of them are like returning to Christianity, and Owen Shroyer himself said that he wants to use this time to become a better person.
Right. Yeah. His message.
And he encourages everybody else to work on that to become a better person. Better, not bitter.
Right. For sure.
Matt Gaetz is a congressman out of Florida who confronted this gal, Director Peters, this woman named last name Peters.
Colette Peters.
Yeah, and her answers were clear as mud. She acted like she didn't know what was going on, which is quite possible.
Right.
And she was giving like safe, vague, generalized answers that leave a whole lot of wiggle room for abuse.
Yeah.
Of these guys.
Yeah.
That's
Very
interesting.
Very questionable. Yeah.
And some people say, oh, now that the January 6ers are being abused, all of a sudden people care. Blacks have been abused in prisons forever. I'm sure a lot of people are abused or treated wrong in prisons, and I've never even liked the notion that people can get R-worded in prison, raped.
Yeah.
That's like insane to me.
Right.
That you can't. That's why I want chain gangs. Let them work off that testosterone.
As soon as they get back, eat and go to sleep.
Yeah.
So they have no
energy for anything else.
Yeah.
They're coming out bigger than all of us, and lawyers and all, which is cool. I mean, it's fine to learn, I guess. But they become liberal activists. It's like so messed up. Interesting, man.
Yeah. Then, she's been around for years also doing the same thing. She was in Oregon. She was over the Oregon Department of Corrections.
Oh, wow. Sounds like a liberal.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, she is too. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. She left everything. It was like open, like so much to question.
Yeah.
That it would make sense for Representative Gaetz to keep going, whoever, any congressman or anyone, to try to push the issue of what's going on. Let's see these political prisoners.
Yeah.
While they're there, let's see what they look like, what their conditions are.
I appreciated Marjorie Greene for sounding the alarm, even though I don't think she should really be in office and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But she was speaking up on behalf of the January 6ers. A whole lot of people see it as political persecution. But Hillary thinks, oh, Trump is going to jail his...
Exactly.
Trump didn't even do close to that. We wish Trump would have done that more. You know what? We can't get to these other topics that you wanted to touch on. I got Maze on the line. Can we do Maze for 2 minutes?
Of course.
Maze in Dayton, Ohio. You're live with Bigg Bump.
Hello, James and Bigg Bump.
Hey.
Hey, Maze.
Well, Bigg Bump, since you brought out the blacks owned slaves, what kind of mistreatment did they get when they owned them? the ones that they own?
I wasn't
That's one
there, so
question.
I don't know. And you don't know either.
Excuse me?
I don't know, and you don't know either.
Oh, that's what I'm trying. So you like the, you know what a wigger is, James?
Yes, a white person who acts N-word-ish.
No. The N-word had nothing to do with it. That's William.
A white who acts
wigger
like he's
is
black.
William. Yes, that's William.
William's
But anyway,
not a wigger.
How did he
In
even
fact,
get
you can't
involved in
even.
this?
No, you don't.
Oh, yes, he is.
You're abusing
Yes, he
language,
is.
Maze. You
But
say
I'm
bright
not
is
abusing
dumb.
anything. I'm just telling you what he is, what I think.
All
and
right.
in your mind, it's just like in your mind, in Bigg Bump mind,
Yes.
when he came out with that, he got people believing him saying that black people own slaves. So if they did, what mistreat did they get by their ownership? And how did the Milano kids come about? So if you want to do some history, why don't you do the real thing? Because if Trump was in office, he wouldn't even be able to pull that out because he don't want you to talk about stuff like that.
Who are you talking about,
So in
Maze?
y'all mind, y'all can think the way you want to because if your brain is small, that's how you do it.
Maze, you don't know what you're talking
tuned
about.
her out. I was
Pick
looking
yourself
at the
off the floor
chat.
and start all over again, okay?
Maze, you didn't say anything.
So that's how that go, Bigg Bump.
Okay, Maze, you
Since
still
wanna
didn't
get some
say
history
anything.
And what they're supposed to represent in the first place.
I said
Did you
if
tell me?
you
Just
listen,
because you came out with that.
if you
something like we don't
listen
know.
instead of just rambling, I said shout out to
I'm
William.
not rambling.
You are.
You don't talk. You just go with your head down. You can't even hold your head up. Take
Okay.
your head off your head. Be a
His
gentleman
head
and
is
take
up.
your head off your head when you're inside of the studio.
His head is up and he's
okay.
speaking. Anyway, go ahead.
I'm listening. He's too slow.
Oh.
You're the slow one. You didn't even know that. Did you hear me say this is a shout out to William because he brought up the conversation a month ago?
No, I didn't hear you because
I
I
know.
was not around at the time.
Oh, okay. So you're just talking out of place, right?
But I want you to
You're
do the
talking
history
out of
on
place.
the slavery, and you give me some evidence.
I just gave you
it can matter
history
to
on
you.
something.
And then all the other ones that listen.
How you didn't listen to
What's
that?
going
You
on
didn't hear
before?
that, but you know
That's
about
what I
this.
want them to do is to learn. And then another thing I have to say.
No, we gotta
hatred
end.
was going on.
You just talking,
But the
Maze.
hatred was going on before Obama ever showed his face. It was there. Because you remember the one that said
Yes,
Bush is a
true.
racist?
That very true, Maze. The
Thank you.
hatred
So
was
don't
there.
even use that. Don't use that wigger. Okay. Y'all have a good one.
Bye, Maze. Wow, she's doing hard RW word. Igger way. Guys, this has been the Hake Report. Bigg Bump on Big_Bump,
Right.
2 G's, on Twitter, which is X, and IG, Instagram, BIGG_BUMP. Bigg Bump, all one word, on YouTube. Adios, America. Thank you, Bigg Bump.
Thank you for having me, James.
And let's enjoy Running for the Prize.
Let's go.
By Mary Rice Hopkins. Adios, America. Take care. So good.
Nice. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. The Fallen State at noon. Somebody said, hey, you could do another hour on Fridays. I can't spring that on these guys. It's put on my shoes.
I'm running a race and
I can't lose.
The race will start within my heart. There's a winner in me and you.
Winner deep down. Let them come out. God within. I loved this song as a kid.
I wish I heard it when I was a kid.
Yeah. They made it kind of Caribbean or something.
Yeah. Some ska. Yes.
The finish line. It's a children's song. American Anchor, baby. Nick stream at 4 p.m. Pacific. Church on Sunday. Rebuildingtheman.com. Stop fronting, Bigg Bump. This song is not us.
This is fire. 3 fire emojis.
It's half Jamaican. Jesus by my side. Bigg Bump got to remix this song. Mary Rice.
Win is to do my best with Jesus by my side.
Hake's shows from yesterday and the day before have YouTube context box for Flat Earth, Wikipedia entries, Mama Spirit. Do it, Biggs, says Greenwall.
Nice. Thanks, James.
Yeah, thank you, Bigg Bump. And adios, America. See you next week, hopefully.